The breastplate covers the most vital part of the body. The chest, the heart, every vital organ that keeps you alive is behind that breastplate. And Paul's instruction in Ephesians 6:14 is to put on the breastplate of righteousness, to guard the heart with the righteousness that comes from Jesus Christ. Here is where I need to ask you a direct question. When the enemy comes after you, and he comes after your heart more than anywhere else, what does his attack sound like? For most people, it sounds like this. You know what you are. You know what you've done. You know where you've been. What makes you think you deserve God's help? What makes you think your prayers matter? What makes you think you belong in this fight? That is the enemy's oldest strategy. He doesn't just accuse you of sin. He uses your awareness of sin as a weapon to disqualify you from the armor of God. He wants you to take off the breastplate yourself. He wants you to leave your heart exposed. And if you don't understand what the breastplate of righteousness actually is, he will succeed. Here's the truth that changes everything. The breastplate is not your righteousness. It is his. 2 Corinthians 5:21 says, "For our sake he made him to be sin who knew no sin, so that in him we might become the righteousness of God." Read that again slowly. So that in him, in Jesus, you might become the righteousness of God. Not so that you might achieve righteousness on a good day. Not so that you might approximate righteousness when your behavior is consistent. So that you might become it in Christ as a settled, finished, declared reality. The cross is not a transaction that improves your standing. It is an exchange. Jesus took your sin. You received his righteousness. The record that condemned you was nailed to a cross, and you were given a clean record, not because you earned it, but because he gave it. This matters enormously for the battle you are in right now. Because if your ability to stand before God depends on your track record, the enemy will dismantle your confidence every single time you fail. And you will fail. Not because you are a bad Christian, but because you are a human being in a war. But if your ability to stand before God depends on what Jesus did, then the enemy has no accusation that can stick. Because every accusation he makes about who you are was already answered at the cross. Romans 8:1. There is therefore now no condemnation for those who are in Christ Jesus. No condemnation. Not reduced condemnation. Not condemnation with exceptions. None. That is the breastplate. That is what's protecting your heart when the enemy tries to convince you that you are disqualified, too far gone, or too inconsistent to be used by God. Here's what this looks like this week. When the accusation comes, and it will come, don't try to defend yourself with your behavior. Defend yourself with the cross. Out loud if you need to. I am not condemned. I have been made righteous in Christ. The record against me was canceled. You are not claiming to be perfect. You are claiming what Christ accomplished for you. That is not arrogance. That is faith. The enemy wants your heart exposed. Put on the breastplate, not because you have earned the right to wear it, but because Jesus did.